Major breaking news at noon here. The Supreme Court issuing a ruling that overturns Roe versus Wade. This decision has been highly anticipated for the last month, ever since a draft opinion to that effect was leaked. We'll take a live look right now at the Supreme Court right now, where crowds of protesters are gathering outside. You can see them there. Something we've been seeing for weeks now leading up to the possibility of this happening. The conservative majority of the court ruled today on its final day of decision making that the Constitution does not confer a right to abortion, handing over the power to regulate abortion rights to the states.
This decision is an outrage. It's illegitimate. Abortion bans are illegitimate. Forced motherhood is illegitimate.
This is a moment 50 years in the making. Millions and millions of innocent human beings were lost because of the Roe versus Wade decision, and I'm so glad that the justices actually established the justice and the rule of law in this land.
The High Court had been considering a case, Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, based on a 2018 Mississippi state law that bans most abortion operations after the first 15 weeks of pregnancy. And today's decision will immediately trigger similar restrictive abortion laws in several states, in some cases making abortions illegal. In New York, former Governor Andrew Cuomo codified Roe v. Wade into state law in 2019. Just 11 days ago, Governor Kathy Hochul took things even further, signing a package of bills into law that expands access and offers legal protections to providers that give abortions to women from other states. Governor Hochul tweeting in reaction to the ruling today, saying the decision is, quote, disregarding the interests and lives of millions of Americans. And here's what she had to say last week when she signed the law protecting abortion rights in our state.
The women of New York will never be subjugated to government-mandated pregnancies, because that's what will ensue if Roe v. Wade is overturned by the Supreme Court. I'm not just going to wait for the worst and react later. The nation-leading investment of $35 million to create the Abortion Services Provider Fund.
And a large chunk of that money will help expand abortion care services in our state, and some will go to protect care centers. The governor announced this plan last month and today signed 6 bills to protect abortion care providers and patients, including one that will allow people to sue anyone who tries to limit their access to care. New York will also protect women who are wanted in other states for seeking or getting abortions if those states have laws on the books to prosecute. And reaction to the ruling is pouring into the newsroom. New York Attorney General Letitia James says today's ruling is a vicious, dangerous, and deliberate attack on our most basic freedom as humans. Every single person in this country should have the right to make their own decisions about their own bodies. The AG says she will fight to make sure those rights remain protected here in New York. The New York State Bar Association is rebuking the High Court for overturning a precedent that's more than 5 decades old, saying the court has overturned precedent before, but every other time the court was driven by the desire to expand individual rights, not to take them away. And if the right to choose an abortion is no longer protected, other constitutional rights that we hold dear could also be in jeopardy. Reaction to the ruling is not all dissenting. New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik is a member of the House GOP leadership. Together, that group released a statement saying the Supreme Court is right to return the power to protect the unborn to the people's elected representatives in Congress and the states. In the days and weeks following this decision, we must work to continue to reject extreme policies that seek to allow late-term abortions and taxpayer dollars to fund these elective procedures. And New York's Catholic bishops saying in part, we are overjoyed with this outcome of the court. However, we acknowledge the wide range of emotions associated with this decision. We call on all Catholics and everyone who supports the right to life for unborn children to be charitable, even as we celebrate an important historical moment and an answer to a prayer.
The Supreme Court's decision leaves the legal question about abortion with states. 13 of them nationwide are set to outlaw abortion using so-called trigger laws within the next 30 days. Here in New York, local laws are designed to protect access to abortion for New Yorkers, all while preparing for more people to come in from out of state looking to access those same services. Friday, a Syracuse police car sitting outside a Planned Parenthood, a deterrent against possible protests, according to a police spokesperson, following the 6-3 decision to end federally protected abortion access.
I think it makes women and people who can get pregnant less of a citizen. Like if we can, like there's nothing like this for men. There's not, the state can't take control of your body for 40 weeks and force you to do something.
Michelle Casey, CEO of the Planned Parenthood of Central and Western New York, says they've tried to hire more staff anticipating the court's decision.
We're going to see an influx of patients that are traveling from other states who need care.
New Yorkers will continue to have access to safe, legal abortions with Roe v. Wade codified into state law in 2019.
We're fighting back. We're protecting our providers.
Governor Kathy Hochul recently committing $35 million to abortion providers, and this month signing 6 bills into law in anticipation of the Supreme Court's decision Friday. Some of those laws designed to prevent abortion providers from facing legal repercussions in other states and to ensure that abortion is covered by health insurance.
I think that the state of New York would also exercise its authority, to not comply with requests, say extradition requests.
SU law professor Paula Johnson says people will legally be able to come to New York for an abortion if the service is illegal in their home state. Long Island Republican State Senator Phil Boyle introducing legislation to ban the use of taxpayer dollars to fund abortions for those coming from out of state. Governor Hochul continuing to push forward to ensure abortion access for all within New York borders.
Statue of Liberty is in our harbor, and she'll always be there with that torch to say, when your rights are oppressed, you know where to come. You come to New York.
Democratic state lawmakers now looking to codify what Roe v. Wade used to guarantee federally into the state's constitution on the basis of going against discrimination against pregnancy or pregnancy outcomes. According to the CDC, in 2019, about 9% of all abortions performed in New York State were accounted for with people coming in from outside of New York. That was up from 5% in 2015.
Matt, dozens of people showed up for the Women's March call for action here at the Federal Building in downtown Syracuse in response to the Supreme Court's overturn of Roe v. Wade. Many are afraid and sad about what this could mean for women's reproductive autonomy and other freedoms. Ain't no power like power. Woman is power. Woman don't stop. Dozens in the community holding up signs, chanting, and shedding tears in response to the Supreme Court overturn of Roe v. Wade. One parent I spoke to saying she's afraid of what this could mean for her child and others affected by this.
Disappointed, disheartened, sick to my stomach, just all in all, sad for our future, sad for the state of our country.
Stacey Seiferd's child, Chris, is non-binary. Seifert says if the Supreme Court can overturn Roe v. Wade, what does that mean for other laws that protect the LGBTQ community?
Not only gay marriage, but rights in general are, on the chopping block, and that people can't live their authentic lives and have the autonomy to be themselves.
Why do we have to take rights from people? It just doesn't make sense. Everyone should get all the rights.
Miriam Schwartz is originally from Kansas City, Missouri, but attends Syracuse University and says this is deeply personal to her. She says she feels safer in New York with the abortion protection laws.
If I want to go home someday, it would mean giving up rights, and that's very scary.
Local and elected officials like County Legislator Mary Kuhn and Common Council member Rashida Caldwell attended today's event. Both expressed their frustration.
How dare someone tell me what I need to do with my body, or, it's just totally wrong.
Legislator Kuhn says we need to focus on getting an amendment added to the New York State Constitution that protects women's rights to get an abortion, as well as some other steps.
It's time to mess with things. It's time to expand the court. And I think that, I didn't say it up there, but I'll say it here, everybody needs to vote for pro-choice candidates.
Many I spoke to agree with Legislator Kuhn that voting is the next big step for the general public.